Hello, this is Irma Baker welcoming you to our show. We're sponsored by RSVP, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, and that's a part of Mature Services. A kaleidoscope, according to the dictionary, offers a constantly changing group of bright objects, and that's what we hope to achieve with our programs. We're highlighting interesting organizations, activities, and people in our viewing area. After these messages, we'll be right back to meet our guest.
RSVP of Summit County has been making a difference in our community since 1972. RSVP volunteers are increasing the quality of life by participating in programs and organizations that provide important services to the community. RSVP matches personal interests and skills with opportunities to serve. If you're interested in adding more meaning to your life and improving the lives of others, please call 330-253-4597 extension 166.
Welcome back. Our guest today is Edna Ratner, and Edna is a board member of the Peninsula Art Academy. Edna, it's wonderful to have you with us today. This is a real pleasure.
Well, it's such fun to talk about Peninsula and its Little Arts Academy.
I am very interested in this because Peninsula to me seems like almost our local art colony, like a place where you just expect art to flourish. What can you tell us a little bit about why that's that way?
Why it's that way is because probably back during the Depression, when farmers were giving up their tracts of land, writers, artists, creative people were coming out and buying up some of that farmland. And that's probably where it started. So we have that background through the years, and it grows. We have terrific, we did have during the 50s, 60s, into the 70s, little theater. There's the Peninsula Players Barn, which had the best theater anywhere in the northeast of Ohio. Very strong. But it did attract people who were interested in the arts. And while they live quietly in Peninsula, they don't beat their drums terrifically. It came about probably in the 60s, 70s. There were people who thought we ought to be developing a destination of Peninsula being appropriate to artists and their interests. So about 10 years ago, a couple of fellows thought it's time to do an arts academy. One of them had come from Michigan and had a strong background with a great art school. So the two people, one of whom is deceased since then, but Steve Craig put together the documentation, which is onerous for such things, getting our tax-exempt status, things of that sort. He put it together and suggested a couple of us come together and form the Arts Academy.
So you've been involved with the Arts Academy from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. And to keep a little art group going for 5-10 years, we feel sort of proud of ourselves. So after moving, we began in the library. We had a Finnish weaver, and she was known all over the country and certainly made Peninsula important in terms of weaving. So that was really our strong suit at the beginning. We had Tarja's work, and the library was supporting her shows, things of that sort. So it started at the library, which is a very special little library. It has a mural of the Cuyahoga Valley on the front, and anytime you're driving on Riverview Road, just off 303, check the library. Check any library, but ours is also nice.
Well, you brought along a piece of weaving. Is that from one of the current members of the Academy?
It's one of our current members. So we put together with the idea of teaching. And I got particularly interested, generally I am, but I want to make sure there are children's classes that are strong. Akron Museum had children's classes for years when it was an institute. And we'd like to pick up on the areas around Hudson, Bath, Richfield, people who are concerned about how to enrich their children. So I'm pushing children's classes like that against. But we have an array of teachers that do weaving. This would be an example of, wouldn't this be yummy to wear? And it's filled with texture, obviously.
That is lovely.
We go from very classical to way out stuff, so there's a good range there. And on weaving, there are little things like this that are just so
What
basic.
would that be?
I suppose it would be a compact holder or
Maybe a little change purse?
a change purse.
You know, with the size of cell phones today, you could practically put a cell phone in there.
One could, and indeed, your credit cards if you have so few. Chris Welch, who did this little piece, is the only person in the entire area, and we're very wealthy with weavers, who does spinning. She takes the fur, the hair, the pelt, and weaves that from llama often, but she is the only one who teaches spinning. So you can start with spinning your own and go all the way through to something tight and durable like this, something gifty and special like this, and then of course wall things. So we do weaving.
You mentioned before that you have an emphasis on getting the children involved, but were these things done by children?
We have a children's weaving class. We have them orienting with nature, going out and doing a field trip, picking up stuff and incorporating what they find in nature in the park. We're in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
But do you have to be a child to be involved in the classes?
Well, if you happen to be between 5 and going into your teens, fine, you are recognized as a child. But we have a very strong faculty of artists from weavers. We have painters who, these are people who would teach you, were you to come, and you could have little classes of 2, 3, 4, or a big class of 20. You know what you need. We have people who do portraits, such as Molly Murphy. I think of something like that, and I cannot imagine a grandparent who wouldn't like to see her grandson, granddaughter done as well as this. That is done in pastel, which I think is remarkable. It looks so much like oil.
It does. It really does.
So we have a wonderful range of people who are quite realistic, lightening up a little, and to abstract. So we have the range. And I will say that the teachers that we have attracted, the artists who want to be part of our grouping, are awfully nice people. You'll just fall in love with whoever you have a class with.
So anyone of any age, you have classes that would
Absolutely.
be fine for them.
Quite.
And do
So
you have to have a lot of artistic ability? I mean,
Oh,
would I feel uncomfortable going into the academy because I'm not an artist?
And you don't even know what to buy, so
Exactly.
you don't have to. So you'd have someone who would have your beginning utensils, or give you a list of really basic ones.
They're not going to laugh at what I do?
No, they're wonderfully gentle about it, because I will sometimes take a class where I haven't touched, and they're very gentle with us. They are. We have a glass blower, and he does stained glass windows. He does all sorts of glass work, handsome stuff. And the idea of going in to this dramatic furnace and learning how to blow glass is so exhilarating. Guys love it, and it's what, half and half, male, female. So Our glass blower is a really great attraction.
And that's right at the academy?
Oh, sure, yes. His studio is there with the furnace and all the tools. And we have a resident jeweler. And this would be an example of something that she does. Jane, and she says, not plain Jane, she will design anything that you suggest, using your materials, using your stones. This would be something that costs $55. And it costs $55 if you were to take it from this, or if you come and make it, it's $55. So you learn how to make it for the same amount of money. And she's such a dear to work with. She's so exciting.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful
and you
opportunity.
could add a stone to this. So come and find and meet not plain Jane and see the really marvelous jewelry work that she does. We have other jewelers who do beady things. I didn't bring nearly all the things that would excite you.
You would have had to have a semi-truck, an 18-wheeler,
or
if you
just
wanted
get
to
everyone
bring
to go
everything.
there.
Yeah.
We have someone who does enamels, and she does big enamels, or she will take a photo of your animal, your cat, your dog, your goldfish, whatever you want to have enamelized, and make it exactly your animal, which is sort of special if you're very fond of such things.
Well, everyone I know is absolutely devoted to their pets, whether they're cats, dogs, birds, horses, whatever.
Well, Carol Adams will personify that wonderful creature in enamel. And so we have shows constantly. It's fun to follow our newsletter. This would be an example of our newsletter.
There we go. And that's an online newsletter, right?
Right. And when we have more volunteers, and we can talk about volunteering, then we'll have someone to address envelopes reliably for those who really don't want to be messing up with internet. There are such people. But the newsletter describes what the current activities are, what the classes are for the month. So it comes out monthly and keeps you current with our programming.
Well, I know when I went online, I was surprised to see how much information there was in the newsletter.
Yes,
And
there are.
Obviously a
This
very
is 1
active
month.
group. 1 month, right
this
there.
is
That's just
list.
1 month right there.
Right. So it's fun to see the shows as they go by. They usually last about 5-6 weeks. There are receptions, and it makes us look all grown up. We even dress, and we have wine, maybe not the best wine in the world, but it's drinkable.
Well, I've always heard that at artist receptions, you don't get the best wine anyway, because you're there to see the art.
Right, but sometimes it's a Friday often that's the opening, and it's time to do the weekend. So we have good nibbles and a good chance to see what's going to be there for a while. We also we do 2 musical programs routinely every month. We have a blues night on the last Saturday or the 4th Saturday of each month. Maybe there are 5 Saturdays sometimes. But 4th Saturday, there is something called blues night. And there are musicians who are probably happier playing together than they are any other time of the month. Some of them are pros, and they love playing with people who aren't quite, so that they can bring them along.
Well, I'm going to show my ignorance a little bit right here, in that when we talked about an art academy, I never even considered music as being part of that, but performance art, yes.
We'll have a recorder player who does classical recorder playing with some of our children's classes as a background. Nothing to make them pay too much attention, but just to have them integrate sound with their working. There were those who felt that blues night was too loud. They couldn't bear all that sound. It's amplified. So there was a counter-production of Folk Night, which is quieter. And so the second Sundays of each month, there's Folk Night. And everyone who's going to play is asked to bring a couple of songs that others might not know. It's put on the wall with how you project things on walls these days. And everyone learns.
You can sing along?
You can sing along, you can play along, whatever you're playing, or whatever, if you happen to have the voice. Or don't have the voice, it doesn't matter. If you're having fun, come. So Blues Night, Folk Night are standard music presentations. But what's so good about them is that people of all ranges and levels can come and fit right in. They're very welcome, and they do end up having wonderful fun with it.
From what you're saying, it sounds like there really is something for everyone. You know, everybody says, oh yeah, we have something for everyone. But you have things for children, you have things for adults of all ages.
Males.
People, males, females. I can see a lot of guys want to get in on that glass blowing.
Darn right.
People can be a volunteer. You were going to mention that you can come and be part of it as a volunteer.
Yes, we need volunteers we need to be open more days. We're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Fine. It would be awfully nice to be open Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So we just need, we break it up from 11 to 2 and 2 to 5. So we would need a couple of people who could fairly routinely appear, say, on Wednesdays to take one of those sections. Learn, that's what's fun, is you start learning who's giving lessons, and the people who come in and usually get involved, often because they've taken a class and they come on as volunteers. What we would love to procure is someone who's retired, or I don't care if you're retired or not. If you are an accountant and you want to deal with a nonprofit in the arts, here we are. We would do well to have someone who cared about us and would do all that detail work to relieve our chair from doing it. It's too much.
The kinds of things that artists really don't like to get involved in too much.
We think about other things a little more, but an accountant, please come forth.
Well, that would be a good opportunity for someone who maybe has a part-time job somewhere and would be available 1 or 2 afternoons or mornings or sometime. Because I imagine that's not something that needs to be done when the center has people coming through.
No, they take it home and just come in and talk with our perfectly wonderful director, Carolyn Birchnell, who keeps us feeling as though we do belong to something pretty nice.
What would you recommend for someone who's maybe sitting at home right now and felt that, oh gee, I've always wanted to try my hand at art or something, but I'm scared to death that I'm not going to be able to do it? What would you recommend?
We're there for them. We're there for every one of you who's feeling a little timid, and I've certainly come in there thinking, I don't know if I can, or I don't want to make an absolute fool of myself. But you go in and you never feel that way. There are people at all levels, and the persons who teach are such wonderful human beings. You come out feeling just wonderful about the whole, whether it's a one-day workshop or a series of maybe 4 or 5, spread over 4 or 5 weeks, however that there's scheduling here that fits just about anyone. No inhibition needed. It just isn't suited, and as soon as you go in there, you'll know it.
Now, you've said that the information is all online on your website, and we're going to put the website address on the screen so people will be able to copy that down and go to it. But I'm also wondering, do you have a gift shop?
We have our teachers' products. We have our gallery that shows our shows, and we have a gift shop. And I don't, you talk about it being unsuited to most artistic minds to have concern with, say, accounting. Well, mine is unsuited really to merchandising. So I don't care much about gift shops, except that I found this one particularly useful because you know there are obligatory gifts You have to produce from time to time. Sometimes you go in there and you fall in love with something and you think, okay, I'll get a gift, but I've got to have this. And there are things that range from little amounts to substantial amounts. But even the substantially priced items, and I
like a portrait
like
or something
a major
like that.
piece like that, are less than you would find anywhere else.
Oh, that makes it a
So
wonderful treasure.
It does. It's a wonderful place to shop. And I'm not much interested in shopping, but by golly, this helps. There are things, all sorts of things I would love.
Well, you
to
were
own.
mentioning before things like the custom-made jewelry and that, and I was thinking, my gosh, how many times have I gone to the shore or gone to the beach and I've picked up like those stones that have been tossed in the waves?
It belongs here.
It belongs right on that necklace.
Absolutely. And what's fun is that our not-so-plain Jane is going to teach you to do this, to make that object for exactly the same price as if you went in and just purchased it. I think that's a kind of special bargain. You're buying your own creativity with it.
Buying your own creativity, expanding your creativity,
Right.
giving it an outlet, which I think so many people need today. Do you find that as people come into the academy that they start to blossom?
They start feeling so excited with the result of what they've done. Sometimes if you're in watercolors, you didn't do it, it did it. But it's yours, you officiated, so it's really yours. So watercolor, which is so tricky, one shouldn't give watercolors to children. It's much too difficult a medium to manage.
That's a very unusual perception.
Oh, speaking of children and what they can do that I wouldn't have believed until I saw it, is we have a fused glass person.
What is fused glass?
I did not know what fused glass was either, but we have someone named Marianne Hite, H-I-T-E, darling young woman. And she has done children's classes. She does adults classes. And I have seen products of her children's classes, a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, working with fused glass. So of course they're not doing anything dangerous, they're just putting glass where they wish to.
Somebody else is doing the
And
actual
then the fusing gets done
Is that a
with
heat process?
That's heat, but the child doesn't do the heat, nor does the adult. But they play with the glass, and the product is fused glass. I would love to own some of those 5-year-old products. They're so free and open and dancy and wonderful. And I would say that some females are a little inhibited with the glass blowing furnace and the poles and the heat and the gloves, but they can start in with the fused glass and come out with lovely, lovely results and not be having scorched knuckles. I don't think the people that do the black glass blowing have burned knuckles either.
They're wearing those big leather gloves.
They're having protection. But fused glass is a wonderful step. It may be to glass blowing, but if you just end with fused glass, you'll be awfully pleased with what you've done.
Are fused glass pieces as big as blown
They
glass?
can be little things that the children do, little plaques to. I've seen things that she's done in frames that are higher than we are. So you can do big pieces, big serving things, dramatic things that you would love to own because you've done it.
Oh my, these are
Fused glass
Oh.
is a way out medium. We all ought to be trying.
This is the first time I'm hearing about fused glass. I was not aware of it, and yet as you're describing it, I'm picturing, you know, like you said, a serving platter, and I'm thinking, oh, how stunning that would be on a table.
Oh, you'd be a hostess with some of these things, and that you had done them would make you feel ultra proud. And as these costs go, the classes, we really keep them tamed down so that they can be afforded if you really want them.
And I think that's important to a lot of
is.
people, especially in today's economy.
Right.
Well, I think the one thing that I really want to know right now is, how do people take advantage of this? How do they find you? How do they get in touch with you?
Well, if you're on the internet, and I don't know the percentage that are, but it's a vast number, by all means go to our this is our flyer, which describes the general offering classes and workshops in glass blowing, glass fusing, metalsmith, jewelry making, fiber arts, weaving, spinning, drawing, life drawing, painting, oil, watercolor, oil pastel, photography, enameling, art for kids, bookbinding, soap making, music. So there may be some more things to add, but that does a general thing.
And let's take a look here. So you have a phone number.
And there's a phone number.
And that is 330-657-2248. You're located on West Mill Street, and that's right in Peninsula?
There's a main street in Peninsula with two lights. We boast, two traffic lights. And this is around a corner on the way to Terry's. Terry's being the lumber company that has sustained us for decades. So one would it's just, all right, there's a lizard, or what do they call it?
A winking lizard right
so
there.
You can, it's on the street right behind the winking lizard.
Well, I think that you're going to have a lot of people seeing this show today who are going to make that little trip out to
If you're
Peninsula.
hiking in the park, bicycling in the park, we're right on the trail. We're right by the train station. So we have the Cuyahoga Valley train that comes out between Cleveland and Akron, or maybe further.
It looks like all roads lead to the Peninsula Art
Absolutely.
Academy. And it's been a pleasure having you with us today, Edna. I hope we see you again, and I hope that many people come out and see the shows and all the offerings that the Academy has. And we thank you for watching our show today. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope that you'll remember our sponsor, RSVP. That's a part of Mature Services. And we offer programs for adults age 55 and over. There are volunteer opportunities, there are job search opportunities, and it's all centered here in our local community. For more information about RSVP, call the number on the screen. This is Irma Baker saying goodbye for now.
Since 1971, RSVP has been matching volunteers' talents to community needs. RSVP is affiliated with the Corporation for National and Community Service, a national organization that supports service and volunteering through grant-funded projects. Volunteers organize neighborhood watch programs, tutor children, renovate homes, plant community gardens, assist victims of natural disasters, and serve their communities in many other ways. RSVP offers maximum flexibility and choice to its volunteers as it matches the personal interests